So Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our course on Sri Ishopanishad, which is a verse by verse study program. This is our 24th class since we started, and today we will be doing a discussion on the quiz, which was based on mantra number 9 to 14 of Ishopanishad. And the quiz have been issued to the participants almost a week before. I hope that was sufficient time for you this time to attend the quiz and complete it. So let me start the program by recitation of the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayamarupagadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guruna Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So let us begin our discussion on the quiz questions. So in total we have issued 20 questions to the group, and I think I have received almost 11-12 responses. So thank you very much for submitting your responses and also joining the program for the discussion. So the very first question was your name. So we will start with the second question, which was uh, from mantra number 9. We will keep the same format. So when you hear the question, you see the options. Kindly raise your hands if you want to respond, if you want to participate in the discussion. Yeah. So the second question of the quiz was, why so-called knowledge is more dangerous than ignorance? Choose the correct statement. Now, in this particular quiz, I have uh, decided to issue multiple options, and in the previous quiz, only one option used to be correct. But from this quiz, you will have noticed that more than one options in the multiple choice are correct. So this is something like raising the difficulty level to a certain degree. So I hope you would have found it a bit more challenging than the previous ones. But let us see how people have done when I evaluate it. But let us now focus on this question. Why so-called knowledge is more dangerous than ignorance? Choose the correct statement. Option A, because it does not teach that Supreme Lord is proprietor of everything. Because it promotes godless civilization more and more. Because it teaches people modern science, which is very difficult. And because it makes people rich and famous, which makes people lazy. So kindly raise your hands to suggest which ones are the right ones, and then maybe we can discuss little more. So Kartar Tauji is raising his hand. So yes, Prabhuji, please advise which one is the right one.
All the four.
Okay, all the four. Any other response? Or do you agree with Prabhu's response? Any second thoughts? Yes, Rakesh Prabhuji.
प्रभु जी मेरे हिसाब से ए एंड बी,
ए और
बी।
ओके, सी क्यों सही नहीं है? सी, ए और बी सही है। ओके, ये थोड़ा समझाएंगे, थोड़ा खोल के समझाएंगे सबको? हिंदी में बोल सकते हैं आप, कोई बात नहीं है, हिंदी समझते हैं सब।
प्रभु जी मॉडर्न साइंस कितनी भी डिफिकल्ट है वो उसमें नहीं आता, वो इग्नोरेंस का पार्ट नहीं है, बिकॉज इट टीचेस पीपल मॉडर्न साइंस विच इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट।
ओके, ठीक है।
जी।
ओके,
और
और
इसी तरह से बिकॉज इट मेक्स पीपल रिच एंड फेमस, ये भी इसका पार्ट नहीं है। ये भी सो कॉल्ड नॉलेज का मतलब ये नहीं है कि वो रिच एंड फेमस बना
हाँ,
देती है।
तो अगर
और
मॉडर्न, अगर कोई व्यक्ति मॉडर्न साइंस पढ़ा है लेकिन गॉड कॉन्शियस है तो
जी
वो भी ठीक है? तो इसमें
जी
साइंस की
जी
कोई
जी,
गलती नहीं है। साइंस,
साइंस की कोई गलती नहीं।
साइंस की ऐसी कोई गलती नहीं है। और हम लोग जो है वो साइंस के खिलाफ नहीं है,
जी
पर मॉडर्न साइंस को ही सब कुछ समझ लेना इज समथिंग, वो कुछ गड़बड़ है, बराबर।
जी जी जी,
इसी तरीके से रिच हो जाना, फेमस हो जाना, वो भी कोई गलती नहीं
गलती
है।
नहीं है
अगर कोई
प्रभु जी।
आदमी रिच है लेकिन भगवान का भक्त है और भगवत भक्त है तो वो अपनी रिचनेस का अच्छे से फायदा उठा सकता है। और
जी
यदि वो
प्रभु जी।
फेमस है तो भी उसमें कोई गलती नहीं है, वो अपने फेम का, अपने प्रख्यात होने का, he can also take benefit of that fame also.
जी
So
जी,
the main point here is that people, the so called knowledge actually is more dangerous than ignorance. अब ये थोड़ा समझाइए, ए और बी सही कैसे हैं? आपने ए और बी सही ऑप्शन चुने ना आपने,
जी जी जी।
तो वो ए और बी थोड़ा समझाइए कि वो सही कैसे है? सो कॉल्ड
क्योंकि
नॉलेज डेंजरस कैसे हो जाती है इग्नोरेंस से? इग्नोरेंस का मतलब है तो कोई नॉलेज ही नहीं है, बट सो कॉल्ड नॉलेज इज मोर डेंजरस। हाउ डू यू एक्सप्लेन?
ये सिखाते ही नहीं कि सुप्रीम लॉर्ड ही सब कुछ है, मतलब जो ईशावास्य प्रिंसिपल है ये बताती नहीं है।
ओके,
और लोग उसको सब चीजों को, उसमें भौतिक वस्तुओं को अपना मानने लगते हैं, आदमी शरीर को अपना मानने लगता है।
बराबर।
तो सुप्रीम लॉर्ड प्रोपराइटर है सब चीजों का, ये चीज नहीं सिखाती वो।
और बी ऑप्शन है, इट प्रमोट्स गॉडलेस सिविलाइजेशन मोर एंड मोर।
तो वही भौतिक वस्तुओं में आसक्ति सिखाती रहती है कि गॉड तो है नहीं, जो कुछ है वो धन है या भौतिक वस्तुएं हैं या आदमी की प्रतिष्ठा है, वो एक्चुअली।
ओके ओके, सो इसका मतलब ये है कि और इस कैटेगरी में सो कॉल्ड नॉलेज में कौन कौन सी चीजें आती हैं, कौन कौन सी बातें आती हैं? चलिए खैर, वो आगे के क्वेश्चंस में डिस्कस करेंगे, बट आई थिंक योर क्वेश्चन, योर रेस्पॉन्स इज करेक्ट। और कोई ओपिनियन देना चाहेंगे कक्षा में जो अवेलेबल हैं पीपल? और कोई ओपिनियन देना चाहेंगे? डू यू एग्री विद राकेश जी's description?
No, absolutely. A and B are the correct options.
Okay,
So
okay,
we agree with that logic also.
okay, Prabhu. Thank you very much. So the point here is that so-called knowledge is more dangerous because people think that this is the best form of knowledge, but ultimately it promotes godlessness, and it does not teach that Supreme Lord is proprietor of everything. So, for example, when people become very rich, very famous, but they are godless, uh, people who are common people also follow these kind of people, and they also become godless. So it is more dangerous in that sense. They are not only dangerous, but uh, uh, they also encourage others to become godless. So that is why we need to differentiate clearly what is the right knowledge and what is not the right knowledge. So the correct answer is A and B. Thank you, sir. So now we'll move to the third one. Vedvad Rataha. Who are called Vedvad Rataha? Choose the correct statement or statements. Very learned in Vedic literature, but completely diverted from their purpose. People who know that Krishna is the purpose of studying Vedas. Those who consider attaining of heavenly kingdom is the ultimate end of the Vedas. Those who misinterpret the Vedas to suit their own purpose. Now these are the four options. So what do you think are the correct ones? Yes, Jeevan Prabhu, you want to share your response? Kindly
Excuse
unmute.
me.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. C and D are the correct choices, Prabhu. C and D.
C and D.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what about A and B? Why do you think you have not chosen A and B?
Very learned in Vedic literature, but completely diverted from their purpose.
Mm-hmm.
They are called so-called this thing. They are not that much qualified and learned in Vedic literature. There, this called the Veda Vadartha means the so-called this thing. They supposed supposed followers of the Vedas, but they are not really so. That is my thing.
Yeah.
And people who know that the Krishna is the purpose of studying Veda, that is not their main aim. They want actually one is the sense gratification. They are giving, that is given in that Bhagavad Gita, that shloka 2.42 and 40. It says, Yamimam Pushpitam Vacham Pravadanti Avipachitaha Vedavadartaha Partana Anyat Ati Iti Vadiraha.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Veda Vadata is supposed followers of Vedas. Kamatmanaha, they are desirous of self gratification, and Swargapara, they are interested in getting to the heavenly planets where they can have the sense gratification and all that. Again, that will go to the resultant, birth and death will be there. So my answer is C and D is the correct this thing.
Yeah. So C and D that you have chosen are okay.
Excuse me.
Yes,
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji.
can I say it should
Yes.
be A, C, and D?
Yeah, A, C, and D. Yes, yes. So A is also the option. A is also correct. And let me explain that. Let me just choose.
This time, a lot of options are given. We have to think deeply.
Yeah, that's what I raised the difficulty level so that really we think very deeply. We have to be fully confident about if you need to get the whole thing right. But don't worry, if you have chosen C and D, you'll still get some marks. Don't worry about the marks. Yeah. But the point is, we have a good deeper discussion and good deeper churning of our thoughts when we read this. Now let me explain. Vedvad Ratas are actually those people who are learned in Vedas. See, in this mantra number 9, there are two words, Vidya and Avidya. So what is Avidya? Avidya is gross ignorance. People who are not educated, have not gone to school, no knowledge at all. Kind of say illiterate people. But so-called knowledgeable people, now that is there in 3 categories. So one category is materialist people, materialist knowledge. Materialist knowledge means the knowledge that you get in schools, universities, and so on, that teaches you only to how to learn a living. That's all they teach. Then the second category is religious materialists. Religious materialists means they're religious. They will study religious books like Vedas, but still their mentality is materialism. They use religion only for materialistic purposes, only to have more sense enjoyment. If we follow this religion, we will go to heaven. Or so they will not study religious books in for the purpose of what the books are written. The religious books are written for a purpose, and that purpose you can see in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, verse number 15 of 15th chapter clearly mentions this purpose. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedascha sarvair ahameva vedyo vedant krad vedavid chaham. Where Lord Krishna is again and again saying that I am the purpose of the Vedas. So these Vedavadaratas accept following this purpose, that Krishna is the purpose of the Vedas, they do everything else. And what that everything else? These are some of the 3 common examples. So they will be very learned in the Vedic literature, but completely diverted from their purpose, which is Lord Krishna. So A option is correct. Then C option is also correct. Those who consider attaining heavenly kingdom is the ultimate end of the Vedas. So they study Vedas only to go to heaven. And then D is those who misinterpret the Vedas to suit their own purpose. So they will read the Vedas, but they will twist the purpose of the Vedas. They will twist the meaning. They will try to enforce or impose their own thinking on in the name of the Vedas like that. And the common example is like terrorists. A terrorist will use religious books, although they may not read Vedas, but whoever category terrorists these terrorists belong to, they will read their own scriptures, but they will twist the meaning of their scriptures. So these kind of people are Vedavad Ratas. So and why the B option is not correct here? Because B option actually tells us people who know that Krishna is the purpose of studying Vedas. So they are not Vedavad Ratas. If somebody knows after reading the Vedas that Krishna is the purpose of studying Vedas, then that person is not coming in the category of Vedavadratas. But you mentioned one thing rightly, that this word Vedavadrata actually comes in the second chapter, 42nd verse.
Yeah.
So in the 42nd verse, this word has come, Vedavadrata. And on the same line, in the 9th verse, the word that has come is Vidyayam Rata. Vidyayam Rata. So-called knowledgeable people. And similarly, Vedavadata means so-called learned scholars of the Vedas. So the correct answer here is A, C, and D. A, C, and D. Yeah.
Prabhuji, I have one question.
Yes.
It is because the A says very learned in Vedic literature. That means to say, they know the purpose of the Vedas, But and why should they? And the Prabhupada's purport, it says they pose themselves as learned. That means to say, I thought they are not really learned. That is why I didn't give choice for that.
Well,
Very
see, the
learned
second,
means
after
learned,
comma.
I mean, I just, yeah.
After
that
comma.
My point of thinking was like that.
Yeah. So after comma, you see, but completely diverted from their purpose.
That means they are doing purposely, is it? Even though they know it's me, because very learned means the person who is learned, you should definitely, they need not post, That means that they are doing purposely, because
okay.
the purpose said they post themselves as
See, if you read paragraph 5 of Shri Ishopanishad Prabhupada's purport, I'm reading it.
Okay.
Maybe
Yeah.
I can show it to you on the screen also. I can show it to you.
I can look into that. I got a book with me.
Yeah. So maybe where it is, give me a minute. Now you see this mantra number 9. And in mantra number 9, if you come here, mantra number 9, if you come here, you see here, those who are Vedavadrata pose themselves as very learned in the Vedic literature, but unfortunately, they are completely diverted from the purpose of the Vedas.
Because they said mentioned as post themselves.
Oh, okay.
That means
so,
they are not really learned,
Oh, okay. So you got maybe pose. If I would have put pose very learned in Vedic literature, but completely diverted from their purpose. Okay. Anyway, but that was my intention with this. I think you have the understanding, but somehow because of the language, you might have got a little bit. You took it a little differently. Okay, no worries.
Yeah, that is why I was a little this thing. Okay. I went through all the purports both in Bhagavad Gita book as well as here. Then I was thinking about that. Then I didn't want to include it. That is my purpose of
yeah. So now the third one, who are Maya Apaharita Jnana class of men? Choose the correct sentence or sentences. Mantra 9 and paragraph number 9. So the question is, the options are uneducated people who do not go to school, thinking.
Prabhuji, can I go back to the presentation?
Previous one, Prabhuji?
No. This question that you're reading.
Okay. Okay. Maybe I'm still in the previous one. Now
you're still in the Prabhupada. Yeah.
Now you can see?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, we can see now.
Okay. Who are Maya Apaharita Jnana class of men? Choose the correct sentences. Uneducated people who do not go to school think that they themselves are God. There is no need to worship any other God, and Mayavadis. So what do you think is the correct answer or answers? Anyone raising the hand? Rakesh Prabhu is raising, and I think, yes, Rakesh Prabhu would like to answer.
प्रभु जी B, C and D.
B, C and D. Okay. तो थोड़ा सा समझा सकते हैं क्लास को?
प्रभु जी माया अपहृता जन जो होते हैं ये दे आर सेल्फ मेड गॉड, वो अपने आप को ही भगवान समझते हैं।
ओके ओके।
वो समझते हैं कि किसी और को पूजने की जरूरत नहीं है, हम ही भगवान हैं
या हम भगवान बन जाएंगे। ओके,
हम भगवान बन जाएंगे। और इन्हीं को फिर मायावादी कहते हैं। ये कहते हैं कि जब हम भगवान हैं या भगवान बन जाएंगे तो माया हमारा कुछ नहीं बिगाड़ सकती। इसीलिए इनको मायावादी भी कहा जाता है।
या तो ये लोग जो हैं ये बिल्कुल ठीक आपने कहा, इनको मायावादी कहा जाता है कि वो ये सोचते हैं कि परम सत्य जो है वो ब्रह्म है और वो पूरी तरह से आध्यात्मिक है, लेकिन जब वो परम सत्य माया के प्रभाव में आकर एक शरीर ले लेता है तो हम उसे एक तरीके से, जैसे कृष्ण है, राम है, नरसिंह है, उनको अलग अलग रूपों में हम उनको पूजते हैं। तो ये एक फॉल्टी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, त्रुटिपूर्ण समझ है। तो माया अपहृत ज्ञाना, एक्चुअली ये जो वर्ड है ये ज्ञाना है। माया अपहृत, अपहृत जो है वो अपहरण से आता है। This word अपहृत comes from the word अपहरण. अपहरण means kidnap. So these people are the third category of so-called knowledgeable people. Vidyayam rataha. So in this verse, in this mantra number 9, there are three categories of Vidyayam rataha. So-called knowledgeable people are discussed. So first class is materialist, the second class is religious materialist, and the third category is misguided spiritualists. So Maya Apahrita Jnana actually are misguided spiritualists who might appear to us as they are spiritualists. They might wear saffron cloth, they might talk about Vedic literature, they might talk about nicely about mantras, shlokas, they do all that. But ultimate understanding is that we are God, or we will become God, or there is no need to worship any other God. We are actually God. And they are also known by the name Mayavadis. So uneducated people are actually uneducated people who do not go to school, who do not have even material education. But these people may have material education, they may have a spiritual education also, but that spiritual education is faulty, is incorrect. And that is why they kind of derive wrong interpretation of the Vedas. They think that they are God, or there is no need to worship any God, and they are kind of in the categories of Mayavadi. So the correct answer is B, C and D. So Rakesh ji is very nice, very correct, he has done. Thank you. Now we move to the next part, next question. Vidya and Avidya. What is Vidya and what is Avidya as per mantra 10? So far we have discussed mantra number 9. And as I mentioned to you in mantra number 9, the purpose is to understand so-called knowledgeable people. So-called knowledgeable people in three categories: gross materialists, whose job is only to eat, drink and marry. Then the second category is religious materialists, Ved Vad Rataha, posing themselves learned in Vedas, but using Vedas only for material enjoyment, going to Swarga or having more health, more wealth by worshipping demigods like that. And the third category is misguided spiritualists. They understand something incorrect. They are learned in Vedas, so-called learned in Vedas, but they misunderstand the Vedas, or they misinterpret the Vedas. They don't understand it properly. So they are Maya Apahrita Jnana class of men, or Mayavadis. Now we are moving to mantra number 10. In mantra number 10, we are also talking about Vidya and Avidya. So let us see what is Vidya and what is Avidya as per mantra number 10. Vidya means acquiring more and more degrees. Not doing so is avidya. Knowledge acquired by going to modern day schools and universities is vidya. Rest everything is avidya. Knowledge that help us earn money is vidya. At not knowing this knowledge is avidya. And the last option is knowledge for spiritual advancement is vidya. Knowledge for sense gratification is avidya. So who would like to answer this? Kartar Prabhuji, would you like to take a shot at it? या आपने हाथ खड़ा किया हुआ है तो I think you would like to. I would like to give you the chance. Kartar Prabhuji, you like to say? You are muted. We cannot hear you. Okay, maybe then we give the chance to Jeevan Prabhuji. Jeevan Prabhuji, you like to say? आप unmute कीजिए एक बार.
Yeah. That is last option D is the correct thing, Prabhu. Knowledge
yes.
for spiritual advancement is vidya, and knowledge for self gratification is avidya.
Very
It is
good.
the direct this thing.
Yeah, D is the correct answer. So I gave one question which had only one option correct, and so the correct answer is D. So very correct. So in mantra number 9, the meaning of word vidya was so-called knowledgeable people, and the meaning of avidya was ignorance. But in mantra number 10, in mantra number 10, the meaning of vidya and avidya are direct. Vidya means knowledge for spiritual advancement, and avidya means knowledge for sense gratification, only for eating, drinking, and being merry. So very correct. Let us move to the next one. Modern education institutions, centers of avidya. How are modern education institutions centers for avidya? Choose the correct statements. Boys think themselves self-sufficient, pay no respect to elders. Scientists are busy discovering weapons of mass destructions. Students are nicely trained in principles of brahmacharya. Students develop deep faith in scriptural injunctions. So which one is the correct option? Any? Okay, Vasudevan Prabhu, you like to say something?
A and B are the correct answers.
A and B. Okay. Boys think themselves self-sufficient.
Self-sufficient and pay no respect to elders, because they think they have gone to school, they are getting good marks, so they know everything. They don't have to respect. And similarly, the scientists are discovering more and more destructive weapons. On the other hand, what should be a real education is where students are trained in the principles of brahmacharya and scriptural injunctions. That is the right education.
And this education is not given in the modern.
It's not given in the
modern day education systems. So that is why the world is actually becoming more and more very chaotic place to live. Every day there is no solution. There is no peace. There is no harmony among people, because our foundational education system is only teaching material education. There is no spiritual education where we learn about how to love God, how to respect elders, how to do those things which bring people closer to God. So nothing is there. So that is why these modern day education institutions are actually nothing but centers for avidya. So you are very correct. The correct option is A and B. So that is very nice. Thank you. Nationalism can lead to avidya. Now this could be a tricky thing because nationalism these days is seen to be a very good thing. I am a nationalist. I love my country, but it is also avidya as per purports by Srila Prabhupada. So let us discuss this. How nationalism can lead to avidya? Choose correct sentence. Nationalists are busy in using a piece of land for their own sense gratification. Nationalists forget that the land they are living on actually belongs to God. Nationalists become hostile to other nations to protect their piece of land. nationalists always understand that resources of the country should be used to develop God consciousness. Okay, let us see who is raising the hand. So Vasudevan Prabhu actually already gave one response. Anyone else would like to volunteer? Okay, we give.
Hare
Yes.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Ishwar Prabhu, you like to volunteer?
It should be 2 and 3, C and D.
C
So,
and
if the question is 7th one, no, it is 2 and 3.
2
B
and 3.
and C. B and C. You can
Okay,
say.
B and C. Okay. B and C certainly are correct. But I would also rate. So okay, maybe anyone else like to have any more responses? So B and C are correct. That I agree.
A, B, C.
Yes, Prabhuji.
All the three are A, B, C.
C, all three are correct.
ABC.
A, B, C.
Okay, so we have more votes for A also. So
ABC.
okay, maybe then Pradeep ji, would you like to share your views why you think A is correct?
A is correct because nationalists always think that the land is for their own gratification because they think everything is ours. The second, nationalists forget that the land they are living is actually belongs to God.
Yeah.
They don't think anything belongs to God. Everything is for the purpose of the human life on the earth.
Yeah.
And they say nationalists become hostile to the other nation to protect their piece of land.
Yeah.
That is why they keep fighting for
Keep on
the
fighting.
country.
Yes, yes, yes. So now I can see the confidence that you showed in the beginning. that you did well. Okay. But I hope Ishwar Prabhu, do you agree with the option A also being correct? B and C are
largely you can say that, but I somehow thought in terms of Vidya and Avidya very strictly, not so-called Vidya, but I thought of pure Vidya.
Yeah, yeah. So actually in the option A, the hint is more towards there is forgetfulness of God when we talk about nationalism.
Yes.
So
yes.
nationalism, they simply think that this land belongs to them, and when they, I mean, it is good to protect the piece of land that they are acquiring. However, one, if he's forgetful that actually the piece of land is only a temporary place that they are acquiring, but ultimately it belongs to God.
Yes,
and
yes, that's
so
the right spirit.
That's the right spirit. So when we are using option A here, we are trying to say that these are those nationalists which they are completely forgetful of God, and they
Yes.
simply associate undue attachment, unnecessary, too much attachment to the piece of land, only thinking that this is mine, this is mine, this is mine.
Yes, yes.
But when you are dead and gone, nothing is yours, right?
Yes, yes.
So ultimately, the piece of land will still be there, but you will not be there, or the person will not be there.
Right.
So that is why. So that is why the correct position is nationalists always understand that resources of the country should be used to develop God consciousness. Now you can see recently, I will give you an example. Actually, I'm not trying to promote any political party, but just to give you an example, like the Prime Minister recently he gave a lot of respects, and a lot of honor was given to our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. Now the leader of a country is actually promoting, is encouraging these kind of philosophies, these kind of way of living, these kind of personalities who are God conscious and so on. So he is a nationalist for sure, but as a nationalist, he is not forgetful of the ultimate purpose, the Prime Minister. He's understanding that ultimately that is the purpose. So he's nationalist, but at the same time, he's also connected with God. So that is the best example I can actually give you. So nothing to promote any political party, but just to give you an example, such a person can be from any other party also. But if he does it, we have to kind of support that kind of a thought process.
Right.
Yeah. So here the correct answer is A, B, and C. So we will move to the next one. What arguments are given in Mantra 11 to support the fact that immortality is not possible in this material world? Choose the correct statements. Science and technology is not yet advanced enough. Laws of material nature are so stringent that no one is able to survive death. Material science can accelerate the process of death but cannot stop it. Even greatest of materialist Hiranyakashipu could not become immortal. What to speak of tiny Hiranyakashipus of today? So we are now talking about some arguments that are given in the purport of Mantra 11, which says that immortality is not possible in this world. So what argument do you think actually support that? Let me see who is raising the hands. Okay, Kartar Prabhuji, you would like to take a shot? Anyway, maybe then we'll once again give chance to Pradeep Prabhu. Pradeep Prabhu?
I think all fours are correct.
All four are correct. Now A option, okay. All four are correct. So can you explain science and technology is not yet advanced enough? How is that correct?
Well, people has tried to keep, smart people has tried to keep people alive forever, which is not happening right now. And so that statement is true. The laws of the material nature are so stringent that no one is able to survive death. We haven't seen anybody is not dying.
Yeah, no, I
Science-
agree. Say B, C, and D are correct. But in my opinion, A is not correct.
The reason I said A is correct because you know how many doctors and scientists have tried to keep the body alive forever.
Hmm.
Now they have increased the lifespan, but they haven't stopped the death of the people or
Yeah.
death of the human
Yeah, so
being.
the option A is actually telling us that when science and technology is not yet advanced enough, but if it would have been advanced enough, then immortality will be possible.
Right. I agree with you, but so I may be wrong on answer here then.
Yeah, so A is not the correct option, but B, C, and D are actually the are actually the correct options, correct answers here.
Prabhuji, I have one small observations here.
Yes, Prabhu.
So the option C, actually it should be material science can decelerate the process of death, but not stop it. Because if you see the death lifespan is increasing because of medical this thing.
Yeah.
So actually they are decelerating death. That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
one
yeah.
small doubt I had when I going through this.
No, you are right, but actually I based this question only on Mantra 11 purports.
Yeah, so I think
So-
here also is same thing in language because
Yeah,
Prabhupada says they are accelerating death by inventing nuclear bombs.
yeah. So it can,
but
it
as
can,
a general statement,
yeah.
it's-
Correct. You are right. I agree with you. Material science can decelerate also the process of death, but cannot stop it. So that sentence is also correct. But I only base this only on the purports or the sentences that Prabhupada had given there. So what you are saying is correct. Material science can decelerate also, but cannot stop it. Maybe by medical science they can cure somebody. If the person could have lived 30 years, they can actually live maybe more, 35 years or 40 years and so on, or much more. So I agree in that sense. But option A, yes, Prabhu. Any other?
Prabhu, there are a good number of operations devices these days, like transplants of organs. They definitely contribute to prolonging life.
Correct. That is correct.
We have, like in eye, we have a cornea transplant, then heart transplants.
Yeah.
And there are many artificial organs coming up, and I don't see that we can be somewhere near, if not totally away from what is being taught.
Yeah.
We are advancing towards that situation where life can really be long. Earlier, if you are purely going on Vedas and what they write, perhaps we'll have to revise our knowledge right now, because things are really improving.
No, they are
It's not
improving.
that nothing is happening. Quite considerable good is coming because of science.
Yes, Prabhuji, there is no doubt about it. And even if you read Prabhupada's purport, Prabhupada has also acknowledged that. Maybe I can try to read that. Material science. Maybe we can find that statement from Prabhupada's purport later on. But certainly there is no doubt that material science has advanced and it has solved a lot of problems, but it has not been able to solve the problem of old age, disease, and death.
That's
Old
right.
age.
That's true.
Yeah, and that is what the main thrust of Srila Prabhupada's in the purport. Say
Right.
it can, now coming to the option C, so we can write another option also. Material science can decelerate the process of death, but still cannot stop it. However,
And,
advanced.
may I add a little bit? The
Hmm.
birth was also considered a very painful experience, but you must be knowing, everybody knows now, there is a painless birth. There are injections which can facilitate the mother. Then cesarean section was there long years back, where the child doesn't feel any pain. He comes out enjoying himself, not through the narrow canal.
No,
So,
that is okay. That is
the
fine.
Statement, it can't be a total or a complete statement that every birth is painful.
No,
it's not.
Birth means the process of conceiving, and so according to the Vedic literature, the birth is starting the process from conceiving itself. So when the child takes place in the womb, from that point onwards, it is quite a constrained place and it is quite difficult. So that description you will find in Srimad Bhagavatam, where the child says that I'm in a very constrained place and very dark place and like that. So that's where the birth is considered to be a very painful process in general.
Quite right.
Yeah. So like you see the option D, even greatest of materialists, Hiranyakashipu, could not become immortal. What to speak of tiny Hiranyakashipus of today. Now, when we talk about Hiranyakashipu, the description is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. He could actually control climates. Climates means like we control our air conditioner in the room.
Right.
Temperature 24 degree going down to 22 degree. Hiranyakashipu would look with a frowned eye towards Indra. Indra, I need more rain at that part of my kingdom. And then Indra will make arrangements to rain to fall in that part of kingdom. So to that level of control over material nature, this person Hiranyakashipu had. So Prabhupada actually have quoted such a high level of material advancement that Hiranyakashipu had. Then he is saying that what to speak of tiny Hiranyakashipus of today. Tiny Hiranyakashipus are, we are actually referring here to the modern day godless scientists.
Right.
So scientists are thinking they have invented artificial intelligence or mobiles and maybe whatnot. So Prabhupada is talking about Hiranyakashipu, who could even control death. He will not be dying by any weapon, or he will not take death. He will not die during the day, during the night. So much of advancement he had that he could even control his death, but still he had to die. The Lord arranged it in such a way that still he had to die. So that is what the whole thrust of the verse is, that death is inevitable in this material world. So yes, Mataji.
Why A is not correct is still not clear to me.
Yeah, so the point of A is, the argument that scientists give is that science and technology is not yet advanced enough. But once it is advanced enough, we will make people immortal. That is what the modern day scientists think. Yes. At the moment, we are not able to create immortality because we are not advanced enough. We are advancing. Soon we will advance. And once we will advance enough, immortality will be possible in this material world. That is why A is not correct.
Okay.
So B, C, and D. Okay, arrangements for immortality. But in mantra number 11, Prabhupada writes that we can become immortal, but there is a different technique to become immortal. Not through science and technology, not through material pursuits. There is a different technique. And this question actually talks about those techniques. So what are the arrangements of the Lord to make us immortal? Lord sends his empowered representatives like acharyas who teach us the art of immortality. Lord provides this knowledge in revealed scriptures like Upanishads, Gita, and Bhagavatam. Lord personally comes to attract us to the material, to the spiritual world. Lord indirectly reminds us through miseries in this material world that we are incompatible with matter. So what do you think is the correct answer?
All the four are correct.
Okay, Ishwar Prabhu has.
All the four are correct, Prabhu.
So पहले ही आपने चौका लगा दिया एकदम, 4 runs. So all 4 are correct. A, B, C, and D. Huh? Now let me do a little bit of a churning here. Lord personally comes to attract us to the spiritual world. So if you read Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, where Lord says, I think verse number 9th or 10th, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatpata. So that's where Lord says, in 4th chapter, Lord actually talks about why he comes to this spiritual, why he comes to the material world. So he gives yada yada hi dharmasya jnanir bhavati glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam sujamya. And then again he says in the next verse
7 and 8, 407 and 8.
Yeah, for paritranaya sadhunam vinachaya chatuskratam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So in these 2 verses he's talking about establishing religion and saving the saintly, killing the ungodly, and so on. But in 9th verse he says janma karmacha me divyam evam yo veti tatvata. So he personally comes here to attract us to the spiritual world by doing the lila, by doing these pastimes, where the living entity really gets attracted towards the activities of the Lord, and that charms the heart of the living entity and inspires the living entity to go back to the spiritual world. So that is what C is. And all the knowledge is given in Upanishads, Gita, and Bhagavatam. That's what we are studying these days. And empowered representatives like acharyas, like Srila Prabhupada, who spent so much of his effort going to the Western countries, writing so many commentaries, and then establishing a movement, and then managing the movement like that. And the whole purpose is mainly to teach people this art of immortality. And D is indirectly reminding us through miseries in this material world. So miseries in this material world means everything you see in this material world is bound to get destroyed sooner or later. There is no example we can see in this material world which can prove to you that things can be immortal. So when we get miseries in this material world, that should remind us that we are incompatible with matter. Anyone who comes in contact with matter is bound to get destroyed. And that is what the point of this whole thing, that matter actually means destruction and spirit means eternality. So we should focus toward spiritual and try to become immortal, and the technique and the secret is given in Upanishads, Gita, Bhagavatam, and so on. Okay, now coming to the next one, which is question number 10. What is meant by balanced program of spiritual and material knowledge? Choose the correct statements. So this is mantra 11. Maintenance of the body should be completely stopped. Maintenance of body and mind is required if we are to reach our goal of developing spiritual knowledge. Sense gratification and economic development should be done within bounds of religion with liberation as the goal. Religion, economic development, sense gratification should aim towards attainment of devotional service to the Lord. So what is the correct answer and who will respond to this? Maybe we will give chance to Vasudevan Prabhu this time. Yes, Prabhuji. Sorry, Prabhu, we lost you.
I didn't raise my hand. It was the old one that is showing.
Are you able to see the slide? Question number 10.
True, see. I am able to see.
Okay.
I think Jeevan Radha Prabhu wants to say.
Sorry.
I think Jeevan Radha Prabhu is saying something.
Okay,
Oh.
okay, okay.
Yes, Prabhu. Jeevan Prabhu, you want to say?
Yeah.
Okay, Prabhu.
B, C, and D are the correct options. B,
B.
C, and D are the correct options. C and
Yeah,
D.
yeah, I think you are right. You have done it right. Yeah, B, C, and D are the correct options. So, okay. Why A is not correct? Maintenance of body should be completely stopped. So, in the previous slide, we discussed spiritual is that what matters. The material world, actually, everything is bound to destroy. Now, if only spirit is really useful, spirit is only what matters, then maintenance of body, which is material, which is made up of earth, air, water, fire, ether, then why should bother about maintenance of body? Why should we bother about maintenance of body? So how would you respond to that argument, Jeevan Prabhu? Are you able to hear me? Sorry.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes,
Prabhu,
Prabhu.
yeah.
How would you respond to that answer? That or that argument that maintenance of the body should be
Can you
completely
please
stopped.
can you please go ahead again, Prabhu? I didn't. I didn't hear it properly. Can
Okay.
you please your question? You were
I will
explaining
repeat.
something.
I will repeat.
You
Now
were
we
telling-
are
yeah.
saying that option
Yeah.
A is incorrect, right? We are
Correct,
saying
correct.
option A is incorrect. So the argument in option A
Correct.
is that the maintenance of body should be completely stopped. Now body is material, body is not spiritual. So why
Okay.
pay attention to material?
Okay.
What is the purpose of giving attention to material? Why should I bother? In the previous mantra, we had understood that actually spiritual is what is important. Matter is not important. So why here we are giving?
The matter, it is here. Actually, matter is definitely matters are jiva. Definitely prakriti or jiva. Definitely, it is going to have this thing. There are 3 stages of this thing for matter, and there are 5 stages for this thing. Definitely they are definitely going to, it is going to die. Both matter and this thing, jiva, they are going to die. So definitely, I don't know whether I'm able to give you the point correctly, but
no worries, no worries.
I think to
Yes, Prabhu.
maintain the soul, we need to maintain the body.
Yes, yes. To maintain
Because
the soul,
root has to be watered.
Correct.
oh, correct.
Correct.
Prabhu,
So to
Prabhu.
maintain the soul, in order to do our spiritual activities, we need the body. We need a vehicle.
Correct.
If we want to go to
Okay,
Bombay,
okay,
we need a
Prabhu.
car. If we want to go to
Excellent
spiritual
answer,
world,
Prabhu. Thank you.
if we want to go to spiritual world, we need to do the endeavor to purify ourselves, and for that we need a body. So we need to take care of the body for the ultimate purpose. And in the class, we also gave the analogy of a boat. Say the purpose of the boat is to reach to the shore, but the boatman should know how to row the boat. So how to row the boat is actually material knowledge, but reach the shore is actually spiritual knowledge. Reach the spiritual world will come from spiritual knowledge, but in order to survive in this material world, we need to have this material knowledge to know how to survive in this material world, how to earn money, how to get food, how to have a shelter, how to take care nicely of our body. But all that activity has to be done under the bounds of religion and liberation as the goal, within the bounds of religion. So we need to do material activities also in a dharmic way. That is what the whole program of balanced, the balanced program of spiritual and material. So there could be a class of transcendentalists who will only pay attention to spiritual and completely reject material. But in devotional life, as devotees, we understand that this body is also given to us by the Supreme Lord. We need to use this body in order to make spiritual progress. So that is the whole idea of this mantra number 11. where a balanced program of spiritual and material has been recommended to become immortal. So now moving to mantra number 12. So is this clear to everyone? I hope. Okay. So the correct answer is B, C, and D. B, C, and D. And now we move to the new mantra, which is mantra number 12. So far we have been talking about Vidya and Avidya. And from mantra number 12, we will talk about Sambhuti and Asambhuti. What are the definition of Sambhuti and Asambhuti? So which definition is correct? Please tell. Sambhuti, absolutely independent of everything. Another definition is the opposite, who have no independent existence. Asambhuti, absolutely independent of everything. And D, who have no independent existence. So what is the correct answer? Okay, Vasudevan Prabhu, please proceed. Kindly help us. We lost you. We are not able to hear. I think we also give chance to maybe Pradeep Prabhu. Maybe Vasudevan Prabhu's connection is not good. Pradeep Prabhu would like to say?
Yeah, my answer is A and C. A and C are correct.
A and C.
Right.
Okay, A is absolutely independent of everything, and C is also absolutely independent of everything. So both the definition for Sambhuti and Asambhuti?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so
It's D. It's D.
okay. So Ishwar Prabhu is saying D.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's D.
Okay, okay, no problem. So Sambhuti means absolutely independent of everything, and Asambhuti means who have no independent existence. That is the definition of Sambhuti and Asambhuti.
Yeah, I was wrong in C.
No problem, sir. No problem. Yeah. So the correct answer is A and D. We move to the next one, demigod worship. So now we are entering into these mantras 11, 12, 12, 13, and 14, where we are talking about Sambhuti and Asambhuti. So we will mainly talk about three types of Asambhutis. So one Asambhuti is demigod worship. The second Asambhuti is impersonalist, specifically Mayavadis. And the third Asambhuti is service to mankind, who understand that service to mankind is everything. So let us see what is about demigod worship. Which of the following statements are correct about demigod worship? The system of demigod worship is like an intermediate step to bring us back to the Supreme Lord. Demigod worship offers only temporary benefits. Those who are driven by material desires generally worship the demigods. Demigod worship is not a very intelligent proposal. Okay. So what would you like to say on this? Let me, yes, Vasudevan Prabhu, or would you like to say? We are not able to hear you, Prabhuji. Okay, then we give chance to Rakesh Prabhu. Rakesh Prabhu, you had raised your hand.
Prabhuji, all four are correct.
All four are correct. Very good, very good. So can you explain this point, Prabhu? Demigod system of demigod worship is like an intermediate step to bring us back to the Supreme Lord. What is meant by intermediate step?
प्रभु जी, जब किसी देवता की पूजा करते हैं वो भी भगवान के पास ही जाती है, भगवान ही उसके थ्रू आपको आशीर्वाद देते हैं. तो एक ये सिस्टम है कि आप धीरे धीरे भगवान तक पहुंच सके. पहले आप डेमीगॉड के पास जाते हैं अपनी मटेरियल डिजायर पूरी करने के लिए. और उसके टेम्परेरी बेनिफिट्स हैं कि आपको मान लिया किसी चीज की कामना करी कि आपने मेरे को गाड़ी मिल जाए, मकान मिल जाए, वो मिल गया आपको.
ओके.
उसके बाद वो तो टेम्परेरी है, परमानेंट तो भगवान का एबोर्ड ही है.
बराबर बराबर.
वो उसको नहीं मिल पाएगा.
वो नहीं मिल पाएगा. पर ये इंटरमीडिएट स्टेप है, क्योंकि इंटरमीडिएट स्टेप से क्या मतलब है? इंटरमीडिएट स्टेप से यहाँ ये मतलब है कि इफ द पर्सन like we have explained this whole thing with the help of a story in our class. So the story was that there was a lost son. The son actually gets separated from the father, who is the king, who is very rich, and son goes away to another kingdom, and where he is actually robbed of all his possessions. He becomes very destitute. He becomes very miserable. But soon he realizes that he should return back to his father. So that is something. When the son goes back to the father actually welcomes him with his open arms and forgives him, and once again embraces him. So this story actually tells us that the father is very benevolent. Father is always willing to welcome. But then we added a little more to this story. We said that father is not only very benevolent, but father also makes an attempt from his side to attract the son back to his kingdom. And how does he do? He then appoints a minister. The minister goes to the kingdom where the son is going, and in that kingdom the minister actually goes to the son and says that I can employ you, I can take care of whatever your needs are, you have to come to me. So by doing that kind of an arrangement, the son actually comes under the jurisdiction of the minister. And when he comes in the jurisdiction of minister, actually indirectly the son has come into the fold, into the control area of his father. So going to the demigods is actually moving towards one step closer towards the Supreme Lord. But demigod worship is not ultimate. Demigod worship is not independent of the worship of the Supreme Lord. So that is why demigod worship is something like asambhuti. It is not independent. It is not going to give the benefits. Even if you do demigod worship, whatever benefits you get, you will only get by the mercy of the Supreme Lord ultimately. So that is why demigod worship is like an intermediate step, because by doing demigod worship, we are very much closer to the Supreme Lord. We are actually in the same region where we can quickly elevate ourselves to the worship of the Supreme Lord. So that is why it is known as intermediate step. It is not a very intelligent proposal. Bhagavad Gita says it is avidhi purvakam in 9th chapter. And then who are driven by material desires generally worship demigods. So 7th chapter it is mentioned kamastastai hritagyana. Those whose intelligence has been robbed by material desire, they actually worship demigod. And demigod worship offers only temporary benefits. So in 9th chapter you also read Shine Punya Martya Lokam Vishanti. Shine Punya. When the Punya gets over, then once again we fall back to the Martya Lokam like earthly planets. So the correct answer is A, B, C, and D. All four are correct. Understanding impersonalism. Yeah, this is the important one. Which of the following statements are correct about impersonalism? Impersonalists are of two types, Brahmavadis and Mayavadis. Worship of impersonal supreme is transitional only. Among the two types of impersonalists, Mayavadis are offensive towards the form of the Lord. Mayavad philosophy was preached by Sripad Shankaracharya to drive away Buddhism. So which are correct?
All the four are, Prabhuji.
All the four are correct. Okay. So Prabhuji, can you explain me the difference between Brahmavadis and Mayavadis?
Brahmavadis are, I think, less innocuous.
Mm-hmm.
They believe in the impersonal Brahman.
Mm-hmm.
They know the scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
And they hardly bother about, or at least they don't have negative ideas about the personality of God.
Personality of God, correct. Yes, very good, very good.
So, though
very
they are harmless,
harmless, yeah.
I would say Mayavadis.
Yeah. So they are partial. Their understanding is partial, but that is not offensive.
Right.
That is not offensive. Very good. So Mayavadis is something which become offensive. They understand that the supreme absolute truth is actually impersonal, and now when the impersonal comes under the influence of Maya, it takes form like Krishna, Ram, Narsinga, etc., like that. So Mayavadis are offensive. So worship of impersonal supreme is transitional. So what do you mean by transitional here?
Because by worshipping the impersonal Brahman, we cannot reach the Godhead.
Yeah. But we can
cannot
reach,
that plane.
yeah, we can reach
spiritual
Brahma
plane.
Jyoti. We can reach Brahma Jyoti.
Yes.
So it is transitional. It is transitional. It is a maybe a
It's a journey on way to
it's a journey
transcendence.
on the way to transcendence. Correct.
Yes.
Among the two type of impersonalists, Mayavadis are offensive. So we discussed this. And Mayavad philosophy was preached by Sripad Shankaracharya to drive away Buddhism. So this is something which we discussed in detail in our classes, where we told that actually Mayavad philosophy comes from Sripad Shankaracharya, but there was a purpose behind that philosophy.
Yes.
That was mainly to drive away Buddhism. So he gave this Asat Shastram, like Padma Puran mentions, Asat Shastram to drive away Buddhism. So all four options are correct. So Mayavad is one topic you will find in Srila Prabhupada books, which sometimes become very difficult to understand. But if you have broad understanding of these points, then it becomes easy. Okay, who are Mayavadis? Now we focus more on Mayavadis in this question. Which of the following statements is correct about Mayavadis? They think that since God is unlimited, God cannot have a form, because having a form means limiting God. B, they do not understand that God can have a form and can still be unlimited. C, they believe in only one formless reality. Everything else is false. And D, they reject those part of scriptures which describe personal form of the Lord, reciprocation with the Lord, etc., saying that it is lower level reality. So what are the correct statements in this question? Okay, sir.
Can I try again?
Yes, Ishwar Prabhu, please go ahead.
To me, they all look correct.
They all look correct. Okay, now we will test your deep knowledge. So they think that since God is unlimited, God cannot have a form, because having a form means limiting God. So can you explain this? What actually does this
I
mean?
think where we started from, that train going to a ticket for Calcutta, taking us to Calcutta. On that, the impersonalist said that Calcutta is also part of the universe, and God is everywhere, including Delhi, Calcutta, everywhere. So why
limit him?
Limit him to Calcutta or Delhi or anywhere. So it's something which is so big. So why make a human form and limit him to Krishna or Rama or for a particular period?
Correct.
So I think that was the background in which this statement was made.
Yeah, God cannot have a form because having a form means limiting God. So that is why they think that when we say Krishna is the absolute truth, how can Krishna be absolute truth? It is a form, and God cannot have a form because God is unlimited. Having a form means limiting God. But the Vaishnava understanding is God can have a form but can still be unlimited.
Yes, and in that context, you gave an example of a room which now is has a form, but and limited. But once we destroy it or break it,
it doesn't become unlimited. It doesn't become unlimited.
Yes, doesn't become unlimited.
Doesn't become unlimited, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So they believe in only one formless reality. Everything else is form. So this is English translation of Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya.
Yes.
So they think only one formless reality, only all pervading Brahman is Satya and Jagat is Mithya. So now, I mean, the class is Mithya, the laptop is Mithya, the speaker is Mithya, but only thing is there is only consciousness, only all pervading consciousness everywhere.
Yes.
But that is not the Vaishnava understanding. Vaishnava understanding is Brahma Satya, but Jagat Anitya. Anitya. Anitya means temporary.
Yes.
We don't say it is false. It is real. You and I are real. The laptop is real, but it is anitya. Anitya means temporary. It will exist for some time, but then it will discontinue to exist in the same form. It will change the form. Right?
Quite right. Yes.
Yeah. So they reject those part of scriptures which describe personal form of the Lord, reciprocation with the Lord, saying that it is lower level reality. So they say that whatever suits their purpose, they call it paramarthic. This is actually,
Yes.
and whatever that suits doesn't serve their purpose, they call it vyavharik, which ultimately has to be rejected. So
Quite right.
they divide the scriptures into higher level reality and lower level reality, and
Yes,
ultimately
yes.
the lower level reality has to be rejected.
And this will also mean demeaning of the Vedas, because
Scriptures,
lot of
scriptures.
Vedas, they
Yeah.
will be consumed by this lower level realities. Then.
They will become null and void.
Yes.
This is nonsense according to them, and that is also not based on scripture. This argument is not based on scriptures. There is nowhere
Right.
mentioned in script. That is their own philosophy which they are imposing on the Vedas.
Quite right.
Yeah. So very good. Now correct answer is A, B, C, and D. So we are progressing well. Last 15 minutes remaining. How can we refute the argument all paths lead to the same goal? The argument all paths lead to the same goal cannot be refuted. Using simple logic, if you buy a ticket to reach Delhi, you cannot reach Kolkata with the same ticket. Using scriptural reference from Gita, for example, verses 9.25, and scripture teach by contrast, Gita 4.40, Ishopanishad mantra 10 and mantra 13. So, how can we refute the argument? All paths lead to the same goal. So, what is the correct answer? Yes. So, maybe can I pick someone now? Anupama Mataji, would you like to try? You have not raised hand, but I am picking you.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Would you like to try this?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. What do you think is the correct answer?
All except A are correct, Prabhuji.
All except A are correct. So you are correct, Mataji. Okay.
This was
Now
in the previous when explaining, he told this answer also.
yeah. So I think we discussed this one. If you buy a ticket to Delhi, you cannot reach Kolkata. So there are people. So mantra 13 actually is that you get one result by worshipping Sambhuti, and you get another result by worshipping Asambhuti. But there are class of philosophers who say that whatever philosophy you have, follow that philosophy, you will reach God. सब रास्ता भगवान को जाता है, ऐसा बोलते हैं वो लोग. So we can refute that argument by simple logic and also by giving scriptural reference. So Anupama ji, can you give a little hint what is D option is talking about? Scriptures teach by contrast.
Yeah, they say now in Gita, I don't know whether this is that verse, but if they say if you worship the demigods, then you go to their planets.
Yeah.
And
if you worship me, you come to me.
Yeah.
Lord Krishna says. So that is actually, I think, verse 9.25.
Yeah.
9.25.
4.40, I think it is about
so
having belief in.
Yeah. So if you are faithless, if you don't have Shraddha, you get one result. But if you have Shraddha in scriptures, you get another result. So that is teaching by contrast. So if you do this, you get this. If you don't do this, you get this. So if people say that all paths lead to the same goal, so that is not supported by scriptures. So if you follow one path, you get one goal. You follow another path, you get another goal. Okay, thank you very much. So B, C, and D are correct. Okay, now this is also a very important one. Different paths, different philosophy. So what do you think exclusivists have the philosophy? What philosophy do they have?
Prabhuji, only my path is correct.
Only my path is correct. Can you give example from modern day life? Can you give one example of modern day life? आजकल politics में काफी famous हो रहा है वो example. I'll give you a hint. Maybe ईश्वर प्रभु समझ गए हैं. Yeah. So the developments in Afghanistan, you can see what is going on.
Yes.
Only my path is correct. There is no debate, there is no discussion, there is no dialogue. बंदूक उठाया और I am going to do what I think is right. That is what exclusivists are. Only my path is correct. And what does pluralists do? Pluralists, what is their philosophy?
All paths are correct.
All paths are correct.
All paths are correct. कोई भी रास्ता ले लो, सब सही है, सब भगवान को जाता है. तुम अगर नास्तिक भी हो तो भी उसी रास्ते पे चलो, वो भी तुमको भगवान तक लेके जाएगा. That is what they think. So they are too narrow-minded. Exclusivists are too narrow-minded, and pluralists are too broad-minded. Both are two extremes. One is one extreme, second one is another extreme. They are too liberal. They are very, very conservative. Conservative to the extent that they become really fanatics. And pluralistics are too liberal, so liberal that there is nothing to think anything about. Any path, everything is okay. And what is inclusivists?
Different paths.
Yeah, different paths offer different level of progress. So there are schools, secondary schools, there are primary schools, there are universities, there are PhD schools, there are research centers, and so on. So inclusivists are that different paths can take you to different level of progress towards God. So that is what inclusivists say. So exclusivists, only my path is correct. Pluralist, all paths are correct. And inclusivist is a balance between two, which say that if you follow certain paths based on a certain criteria, you can define what path is correct and what path is not correct. Or even you can have different degrees of successes in different paths. So criteria for right spiritual path. What is the criteria? How to decide which spiritual path is right? How do we decide? It is sinful to judge about all spiritual paths. All paths are good. The path that teaches us to love and serve God without motivation and interruption is the right path. The right spiritual path should be able to help us get rid of dirty things of our heart. The right path is that which I learned from my parents, because parents are as good as God. So what is the correct answer? So now,
Prabhuji.
Okay, Vasudevan Prabhu, finally we heard your voice.
Yes.
Thank you.
No, there's some problem with the internet.
Yeah, I can recognize that there is some connection issue. So no problem. Thank you. So B and C are correct.
Right.
Okay. So what are we trying to say here is, can you explain to the class, Prabhuji?
No, so first is, for example, like Prabhupada, you gave the example of interview in which Prabhupada and a Christian priest was there. And where Prabhupada very specifically says that even if a Christian follows the path, he will reach to God. Whereas when you ask a Christian, if the Hindu will follow his path, will he reach God? He had no answer. What basically Prabhupada is saying, any religion teaches you to love God and serve God. That is the motivation. That is the right path. So he is not saying that this religion is good, that religion is not good, Hindu religion is the best. All religions, according to him, teach us to love and serve God. That's the right path.
Yeah.
And similarly, when you're saying love, love, you can only love from a clean heart.
Yeah.
If your heart is dirty, then you cannot love anybody.
Yeah.
So the right spiritual path has to do both functions, that it cleans up the dirt of your heart and enables loving.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's not one time without motivation interruption.
Correct.
It has to be continuous.
Correct. So it is same. We can give one analogy that what kind of, say, if we become diseased and if we go to a doctor, and when we go to the doctor gives us a treatment and our disease does not go. So then we have a doubt whether the treatment that we are taking is okay or not. But then we go to another doctor and the doctor changes the medicine. He gives us a different medicine. And now after taking that medicine, we become cured. We are healthier. We are much more better in our health and well-being. So that means that the treatment now we are taking is improving our health. So the evidence that the treatment works is simply if our health is improving, that is an indication that the treatment is working. Similarly, if you take to a spiritual path, if the spiritual path is encouraging you, is motivating you, is making you a lover of God, so that is one criteria that the path is correct. You are coming closer to the God, you are becoming more affectionate towards God. That is one criteria. The second, another criteria is that while following the path, while following the practices of the path, the dirty things of the heart, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, lust, anger, greed, all those dirty things of the heart should come down. The level should come down. The disease should come down, and the severity should come down. So these are the two criteria. If we understand, if we observe that if we are becoming lovers of God and our dirty things of the heart are declining, decreasing, that means that the path we are following is actually the right path. Now, I would request all of you to kindly assess your own journey. You have been associating with this class for a number of period. Now you might also make an assessment. Am I becoming more lover of God? Are dirty things of my heart going down? And that's how you can assess whether I am following the right path or not. So very correct. The option B and C are correct in this. We move to the 18th.
Prabhu,
Yes, Prabhuji.
I have small point here.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Actually, your question says how to decide which spiritual path is the right. In other questions, you have given statements, because the alternative C is already included. The path that teaches us to love and serve God without motivation and interruption is the right path. When you start doing that, Savai Pumsam, no, that shloka is the actual correct translation for that. Automatically, you are that from the heart, it gets removed. So I thought the option C is the only right answer. Option C, I have not given preference.
So there are two symptoms, Prabhu.
Just make my point.
One is a positive symptom. One is something like, for example, when you are diseased, you, for example, if you have a fever, you have a fever.
Okay. Very good.
And you take medicine.
Probably 70%.
Yeah, Prabhuji,
Yeah, I wrote him.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, if you are diseased, you have a fever. So fever, what will happen? You will get temperature. You will get temperature in the body. You will get weakness in the body, right?
Okay.
Now, when you start to take treatment, what will happen? Your fever will go away. Your weakness will improve. You will become kind of little normal. So that is something which is, you are coming from negative to zero. Negative axis, you have come to the zero. Now, love of God means when you become lover of God, now positive emotion has start to come. Positive emotion, like for example, you feel attracted towards the Lord. You feel now what is happening now is you are becoming healthier. You are gaining health. Your muscles are building. You are becoming stronger. Now you are moving from zero to positive. You are moving zero to positive. So love of God is a positive emotion, and dirty things of the heart, getting rid of dirty things of the heart is actually coming from negative to towards positive. And so that is why, so what we are trying to say here is how to decide which spiritual path is right. So we
only one alternative. I thought that we only should be, because other questions and you put statement and it's a back and yes, you are given. So I thought the best alternative, once you start doing, you start doing the uninterrupted and unmotivated. You mean when you are giving that type of service, I thought automatically your negative things, get removed.
Yeah, but that is a symptom.
That's what I thought.
That is
I gave the alternative.
Yeah. So that is a symptom which we need to, which we can observe. A tangible symptom is there. Yeah. Loving and getting rid of negative things, both are tangible symptoms. Okay.
Okay. Right.
And also automatically serving God and becoming unmotivated, that is a very advanced stage actually. So before we reach that advanced stage, ahetuki apratihata yayatma suprasidhati, that is something which is a advanced stage. love God, we try to practice to love God. We don't actually love God spontaneously. We are doing it something like as a sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti means practicing to love God. But once our practice become more perfect, we will continue to do this much more spontaneously, automatically.
Okay, also B is the advanced stage.
Yeah.
C is the start stage.
C is a beginning stage. Yeah.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank
So,
you, bro.
yes. Is service to humanity service to God? Choose the correct sentences. Service to humanity cannot be a replacement to service to God. Indeed, service to humanity is the only way to serve God. The best service to humanity is that which connects them to God. Service to God, when done properly, actually helps people become compassionate towards humanity. Helping someone distressed is a sign of a compassionate heart and actually pleases God. So what do you think are the right statements in this question? Yes, Jeevan Prabhu, would you like to answer, or maybe Vasudevan Prabhu?
A, C, D, E, accepting B.
Yeah, A, C, D, E, except B,
B.
all four are correct. So helping someone distressed is a sign of a compassionate heart and pleases God. So we are not against service to humanity, but the point is considering service to humanity as sambhuti, as everything, as a means to reach God, that is something which we have to understand. That is not the ultimate understanding. Certainly, if we help our fellow people, fellow beings to overcome their distress, certainly that is a good sign. But in order to love God, a dedicatedly making an attempt to connect with God by engaging in spiritual practices actually really help us to connect with God. And service to God, when properly done, actually helps people become compassionate towards humanity. Because when we do service to God, we get rid of our dirty things of the heart. And when we get dirty things of the heart, we start to think more about others, less about ourselves. So best service to humanity is that which connects them to God. Like the example we studied, the story of a son and the father, which we discussed, that if a son has been lost and you try to solve the problem of the son, the best option is to connect him with his rich father. Similarly, we are also lost son of God, and if we help these people to connect themselves with God, then that is the best service. Like that. And service to humanity cannot be a replacement of service to God. So service to humanity is not sambhuti, it is actually a sambhuti. It is not the whole and soul. It is not an independent route towards reaching God. So A, C, and D and E are the correct answers here.
Prabhuji, one doubt.
Prabhuji.
Just 1 minute, sorry.
Yes,
So
Prabhu.
what is the difference between B and D, Prabhuji?
Indeed, service to humanity is the only way. They think that this is the only way. E actually is saying that helping someone distressed is a sign of a compassionate heart and pleases God. So these people, they don't say that this is the only way. This is the only way. Like, for example, if a devotee helps someone who is thirsty, and he gives water to that person and help that person to overcome his thirst. Now, he's not connecting him directly with God, but he's helping him. He's helping him. So that is not something which we are saying we are devotees. We are not anti people. We are not anti. Uh, uh, it is not that if somebody, a devotee does not say that, oh no, giving water actually doesn't connect this person to God, so I should not give water to him. That the devotee does not say like that. So helping someone distressed is a sign of a compassionate heart and pleases God. So when these people, people who are helping others, certainly they get some punya, they get some good credit. But if these kind of people think their philosophy is that there is no God, there is no need to serve God, and only by helping people we can reach God, that is something which we are challenging here.
प्रभु जी,
Yes,
ये
प्रभु.
ई ऑप्शन के बारे में मुझे कुछ कहना था प्रभु जी.
बोलिए.
कि ये कंपलसरी नहीं है कि अगर किसी की हेल्प की जाए डिस्ट्रेस्ड की, तो वो कंपेशनेट हार्ट का ही साइन है। नेम और फेम के लिए भी बहुत लोग करते हैं।
हाँ, तो वो तो मोटिवेशन किसी का अलग अलग हो सकता है। वो अगर वो नेम और फेम, अगर वो नेम और फेम के लिए भी कर रहे हैं तो भी मतलब देखिए, सेल्फलेस सर्विस इज बेटर देन सेल्फिश सर्विस। बट even if he is doing for selfish purposes, some help, even if he is rendering, that is also better than doing nothing.
But it does not mean that he has a compassionate heart.
नहीं नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है प्रभु। मान लीजिए कोई आदमी किसी की हेल्प कर रहा है और कह रहा है कि जी वो कोई एक धर्मशाला बनवाना चाह रहा है, और वो कह रहा है कि धर्मशाला बनवाने के बाद ऊपर लिख देना कि ये तो केशव गोपाल दास ने फलाने पैसे लगाकर इतनी बड़ी धर्मशाला बनवाई थी, तो वो ठीक है। दैट इज समथिंग लाइक अ सकाम भक्ति और सकाम सेवा। वो अपने नेम के लिए वो हेल्प कर रहा है, पर हेल्प तो कर रहा है ना।
जी प्रभु।
वो देखिए, लेवल एक लेवल ऊंचा है उसका। अगर उसके कंपैरिजन में वो आदमी कि भैया मुझे तो कुछ नहीं करना, ये तो सब दुनिया जो है बिल्कुल बेकार है, यहाँ तो किसी की हेल्प करने से कोई फायदा नहीं है, जो है वो मेरा ही है, मैं अपने पास ही रखने वाला हूँ।
राइट प्रभु।
तो उसके मुकाबले में जो व्यक्ति हेल्प करने के लिए आगे आया है वो एक लेवल ऊपर ऊपर उठा है।
राइट।
देखिए, भागवतम में एक कथा आती है नारद मुनि की, और एक मृगारी करके एक हंटर है, शिकारी है, उसकी एक कथा आती है। थोड़ा समझिए इस चीज को। उस कथा में क्या है, इन दैट स्टोरी व्हाट गोज ऑन इज दैट दिस मृगारी, दिस हंटर, this not only kills the animal but he actually kills them half. He kills them in such a way that they struggle to die, they really suffer to come to death. That is what this mrigari hunter does. Now when Narad Muni comes, what does Narad Muni tell to this mrigari hunter? He tells to mrigari hunter, you are killing these birds, you are killing these animals, at least kill them completely. Narad Muni, now you can imagine what a saint is telling to this person. A saint is telling to this person कि भाई पशु हत्या कर दो. So in one sense, Narad Muni is preaching killing of animals. But if you see this story in a different sense, actually he is making Mrigari to progress. He was half killing animals, but Narad Muni is saying that why make them suffer to die? At least kill them fully. So he's creating some kind of a compassion in the heart of that Mrigari to advance a little further. So that is what it means. So there are different grades. आप ध्यान कर रही है ना, हमने वो भगवत गीता क्लास किया था, लेवल 1 पे है, लेवल 2 पे है, लेवल 3 पे है। तो लेवल 1 में भी अलग अलग ग्रेड्स हैं।
ओके प्रभु जी, थैंक यू।
Yes, okay. So efforts to become immortal do not work. Why? ये तो पिछले क्वेश्चन का ही लगभग रिपीट है, बट मंत्रा 14 में आता है, as discussed in mantra 14, why our efforts to become immortal cannot succeed? Choose the right one. Science is not advanced so much at the moment, but one day science will be able to make everyone immortal. Scientists do not try sufficient enough, otherwise science can make us immortal. Because our efforts do not follow the right process of becoming immortal, which is mentioned in the Vedic literature. Material world by its very nature is temporary. No one in contact with it can survive forever. So what is the correct answer?
C and D options.
Sorry, Prabhuji?
C and D.
Yes, Prabhu. C and D are the correct options. So science cannot make us immortal. However advanced it can become, because this is the nature of the material world, which is temporary. And we do not make the right efforts to become immortal, which is mentioned in the Vedic literature. So C and D are correct ones. 2 avyakta stages in material creation. This is something more of a fact-based question. We will deal with it quickly. What are the 2 unmanifest stages of material creation? Before living entity takes birth, after living entity dies. One unmanifest stage is when everything is under darkness. Another is when everything is destroyed. One is when we cannot explain something. Another is when we can explain beyond words. One unmanifest stage is after Brahma's day is over. Another is after Brahma's life is over. What is the correct answer? Anyone can say?
Option D.
Option D is the right answer. Yes. So that is the correct answer. Where Brahmaji's, there are two type of annihilation take place. One is after Brahmaji's day is over. That's partial annihilation. But when Brahmaji's life is completely over, then complete annihilation takes place. The whole thing gets annihilated. So there are, one is partial and one is complete. So both of these stages are known as avyakta. That is mentioned in Prabhupada's purport. Now the last one, why it is important to know both Sambhuti and Asambhuti side by side. Knowing Asambhuti will tell us temporary nature of this world. It helps in developing detachment. Knowing Sambhuti will tell us about the life of bliss and eternity. It helps in developing attachment to God. If we know Asambhuti, we will know that service to sense objects is both misleading and degrading. If we know Sambhuti, we will be ready to take the process of bhakti by which we can end the process of birth and death. So why the knowledge of Sambhuti and Asambhuti is important? Both. What is the right answer? Yes, Kishore Prabhu, you like to say?
All of the above.
All of the above. Very good, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. So Asambhuti, you understand that this is temporary, and Sambhuti, you understand this is permanent. Asambhuti, you understand if you continue to follow this, you will be degraded, you will be misleading, it is misleading. And if you know Sambhuti, which is the devotional service of the Lord, you can actually overcome the process of birth and death. So that is why a balanced understanding of both Sambhuti and Asambhuti is needed. And here we end with A, B, C, and D. All options are correct. So thank you very much. This was quite an engaging session. I hope you have found it beneficial. So mantra 9 to 14 are very, very nice mantras. They are very similar in structure. 9 is similar to 12, 10 is similar to 13, and 11 is very similar to 14. The language is very similar. One set is talking about Vidya and Avidya. Another one is talking about Sambhuti and Asambhuti. But in these 6 mantras, we have covered lot of concepts. Now, we learned about Mayavad, we learned about impersonalism, we learned about demigod worship, we learned about all paths lead to the same goal philosophy. We also learned about misguided spiritualists. So a lot of concepts, difficult concepts that is there in Prabhupada's books. We have tried to cover all of them. So I hope this learning session was very, very beneficial. So thank you very much. Any other comments that you would like to make, anyone, before we close? Maybe 1 or 2 last comments we can take. Please let me know. Thank you. Do you think this was a useful exercise? And another feedback I want is, do you think this multiple choice questions where multiple answers are correct, do you think that is okay to continue with? I got some feedback where some devotees felt it was very difficult.
I think this is a good way to do the business.
Okay.
Yes, it's more appreciable.
Okay.
It is more exhaustive also, Prabhuji.
More exhaustive. So you feel more challenged with this, right?
Yes.
More exhaustive, Prabhu. More exhaustive and more challenges are there.
More challenging. Okay.
Very good.
More brainwashing, more bashing.
Surface it looks simple, but there have been many corrections
Yeah.
that have come into
Okay.
with your
So,
discussion. It's
okay.
a really very fulfilling session.
Very
Thank you very
fulfilling.
much.
Okay.
Yes.
Now I just want to take one more feedback from the class. So when you are doing this quiz, so do you get some kind of a aha moment or a eureka moment where you thought that maybe this concept I did not understand before, but now I am trying to understand it more deeply. Now I understand it much more deeper and so on. So do you get that kind of aha moments or eureka moments? Anyone who would like to share their experience?
Yes. May I start?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Somehow I have the bad habit of not reading the question properly.
Okay.
And this happened even during my student days. I remember in my first professional exam, MBBS, there was a question on pituitary body, pituitary gland.
Uh-huh.
it was the question was on the posterior part of pituitary. I just read it pituitary and wrote answer is anterior pituitary, whereas the examiner wanted a posterior pituitary.
Okay.
So naturally I suffered because of that, and that habit is continuing even now. even in this quiz, I have found that because of my not reading things properly, my answers were short of truth.
Okay.
So I'm going to revise once and for all.
Okay.
Maybe I'm late for revision, but I'll do it because I'm suffering because of this.
Okay, no worries. So I would also like maybe a few more comments. Do you think while doing the quiz you find it aha moment?
Can I share my this experience?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Vasudevan Prabhu, please.
See, what I find is there are things that you know, but you don't know exactly. You know more or less. So what I find is when I do this finer clarity comes in. Because what happens when you have, and that's where this multiple choice helps.
Okay.
First you read the question, you say second option is right. Then you think the fourth option, is it right or wrong? Then you have a doubt. Then you say you go back and refer. So what happens here? Fine tuning of your understanding happens.
Yeah.
Otherwise, some of the understanding is at
a surface level.
Yes.
You mean to
and
say understanding?
The second thing is it requires more time.
More time.
For example, see unfortunately for today's, because I missed the last class, I forgot about the workshop and I did it today morning. I completed it.
Okay.
So I think this, like you gave it 2 weeks in advance, we had enough time to do it. So this multiple choice, but the problem with this Google form is you have to do it in one sitting.
Yeah. What you can do is you can write it on paper and then in one sitting you can complete it. So there is a way out.
So
way out to
the next time, that's what I need to do. So this time I didn't realize, so I had to complete it.
No worries.
So that's one thing. But otherwise, it's very interesting. Like Prabhuji said, some of the things you learn here also. Some of the things that you had oversight, you learn here in the class.
Okay.
Prabhuji, I want to ask you something.
Yes, Prabhu.
If we can do it like not one sitting, but do something today and do something tomorrow, do something the day after, that would help,
Yeah. So Prabhu,
I think it's possible that people can submit more than one form. They can sort of do questions 1 to 10 in form today and 11 to 20. I think that's possible. But only thing is you will get 2 forms.
Yeah. So that, see, what I would recommend is, or what I would like to develop as a practice is, write these answers. Say there are many multiple choice questions. So you can take a piece of paper and simply record them and maybe preserve it for 3-4 days. And once you are completely done, then in one shot you can submit it.
Yeah, so but once you sit down, then you have to finish the test.
That is something, Prabhuji, this is mainly for your development only. I mean, this is not, I mean, certainly it is helping me in the sense that it is making my knowledge also deeper, but actually these are more geared towards you. So that is the option I would prefer that participants take. But even if you submit more than 2 forms, I'm not going to say that I'm not going to look at the second form. Certainly I will look at it, but it will make me manage 2 files instead of 1 file.
No, you are right. What I do, I make a copy of the blank one and then I start writing myself. And when I'm done with everything, then I sit down and finish at one time.
Okay.
But I like this kind of questioning because you have to think, answer 1 is right, then you read the second one. Oh, let's go back and read again.
Okay.
Only second may be right. So it takes a little longer time, but it also make your brain to work and you're forced to read something.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So I think
I think so. 80% of the time there was aha.
Yeah. Okay.
If not less,
okay.
More than 50% definitely, but 80% at least.
Okay.
There was aha and excellent.
Okay, sir.
Guruji, excellent.
प्रभु जी आपने क्विज़ दोबारा भी भेजी थी तो 2 बार रिस्पॉन्स रिकॉर्ड करना पड़ा जी।
कोई बात नहीं प्रभु, दोबारा पढ़ लिया आपने, उसमें कोई बात नहीं। दोबारा तो मैंने
आज दोबारा भेजी थी ना।
वो भेजने के पीछे पर्पस ये था कि भाई अगर कोई भूल गया है किसी वजह से तो एक रिमाइंडर हो जाएगा और वो एक ग्रुप में, व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में एक्चुअली वो 7 दिन के बाद मैसेजेस डिलीट हो जाते हैं, तो उसमें वो लिंक डिलीट हो गया था, इसलिए दोबारा
Okay.
भेजा था। हाँ जी।
Okay.
One comment, Prabhu. So I think wherever multiple answers are correct, it's better to explicitly mention that. I think
Sure.
this right spiritual path was one question, I think, where probably that was missed.
Yeah. So in these where only I am giving one option is correct, you will find a radio button which is circular. But where multiples are correct, you will find a box. You can tick them.
Okay.
You can tick them. That is one way. Yeah, to identify. But I will try to make it explicit as much as possible. Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So with that, thank you very much for your efforts, participation, enthusiasm. I really appreciate. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
All glories to Srila
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada. All glories to Shri Ishopanishad. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you.